Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat, our WWE show of the week. My name is George Coles. This is my tag team partner, Lenny.
Lenny.
And Lodi.
Oh, yeah, one of the old WWE. It's Gary Rhodes, everybody.
And the first thing we're going to talk
Mick.
about... What's that?
So thanks, Mick.
You're welcome. First thing we're going to talk about was the first match of the night, Ryback versus Titus O'Neil.
You know what? I really... It wasn't a terrible match. It wasn't a waste of time.
Yeah,
It wasn't your typical squash.
it was better because last week he squashed the Colognes, and this week at least he's saying just squashing one of the tag team and not the entire team.
And that helps out that division quite a bit.
After the match, Ryback did a sit-in demanding that he get a TLC match with CM Punk at TLC. And it kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit because it doesn't make sense that Vicky Guerrero, a heel, would give in to a face's demands like that.
Well, you know what I think it is? It's kind of like the Ring of Honor situation with your boy Kevin Steen. Is like even the heels don't like him. Because really, Punk's a lone wolf, in a way. Like, Steen is, well, except for what, Scum or whatever he's got with him.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that. You know, the heel that no one trusts. Except for maybe 3 guys. Maybe.
4 if you count Paul.
Oh, he's a Paul Heyman guy.
Exactly.
The next match was Great Khali versus Alberto Del Rio, or ADR. I thought it was a decent worked match for what ADR had to work with. I mean, would you agree?
Eh.
It's just funny how, like I mentioned to George when we were watching the show, that it's funny that 6, 7 years ago, he actually had a match. Khali had a match named after him, the Punjabi prison match. Now he's a jobber.
Which was a terrible match.
No, I think didn't they rate that as like one of the worst matches of all time?
Oh yeah, it was horrible. They did it twice too, didn't they?
Yeah, the Taker did one with him, and Batista did one with him.
Didn't he end up not doing the first one because he was so green they had to put show in it or something?
I can't remember.
It was.
I try to remember. I try to forget those times.
The next thing we had was a backstage segment with CM Punk and Vicky Guerrero, basically Punk bitching about Ryback getting the match at TLC, which I actually fully agree with. Like I said earlier, it doesn't make sense, but we understand it's to sell pay-per-views.
Well, the thing is, I'm disappointed with Ryback getting that spot is because the big thing was on the internet was Foley was going to have that match.
Probably Foley can't go, man.
No, I know, but you know, you're still disappointed. I mean, you're expecting steak and you get spam.
Yeah. Well, Ryback's not terrible. I mean,
Oh no, but he's not Mick Foley. I mean, maybe eventually, but when he gets out of the Goldberg gimmick and kind of turns it more into himself.
nobody will ever be Mick Foley, GR. There's only one Foley.
And then the next.
Bang bang!
Okay. All right. Watch your socks. The next promo was the Shield promo, where Michael Cole was pulling the old JR routine and interviewing these guys before the show.
And before, in case anybody didn't see it, the Shield is what Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins are calling themselves. I keep wanting to call them by their other gimmick names, but it was a decent interview. I think that Ambrose shined as the talker in the interview. I think Seth Rollins stumbled a little bit, but if you watched him in Ring of Honor, he wasn't really that great of a talker to begin with.
Well, the thing is too, he's majority of the time been a babyface, right?
Yeah.
And you're cutting, you're a babyface, and you're cutting your first heel promo, and you're in there with
Ambrose,
and it's gonna be rough when you're there with somebody that's already established as a heel, and you know that's the way I look at it. Well, I think the kid's gonna go.
I thought it was a good segment. I liked how it put over Roman Reigns as kind of the enforcer of it, with Ambrose being the leader, and Seth Rollins just seemed like another guy. But we'll see how it plays out. I think, personally, in my opinion, watching all 3 of them before this, Seth Rollins is the best in-ring of the 3. Roman Reigns has the best look, and Ambrose has the best talker. But they all got their own good qualities.
Yeah, I like it. I really do. I'm high on this situation.
Something that we're not high on: Alicia Fox versus Tamina Snuka. That was just a terrible match, a terribly worked Divas match. I do like the fact that they are starting to work other girls into there and giving us more of a mix of the girls instead of the same ones over and over again. But the match really wasn't that great. Alicia Fox has never really been great,
No.
and Snuka's a little bit. I don't know.
She's a potato artist. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? She's going to hurt somebody one day. I honestly think.
It's kind of like, and I don't mean any disrespect of this, but she kind of reminds me of a JBL of the women's division, if you know what I mean.
The thing is, JBL has talent, though.
But you get what I'm saying.
Just hard hitter. She's a hard hitter.
Her style only matches up good with certain people.
I think she just tries to be Beth Phoenix. Since Beth Phoenix is gone, she's trying to be the enforcer style person. Yeah. And I'm just not buying it. Something else I'm not buying is I'm just tired of it. The John Cena AJ situation.
Yeah. But I do like the fact that it's seeming to bring Dolph legitimately into the main event status.
Oh yeah.
Last week's promo and interaction with Cena was the best things I've ever seen Dolph do. This week he had some good punchlines, good one-liners in there. Dolph is the shining star of the situation. The good thing about it, I kind of like too, is that I don't like the angle, but it gives a little bit more of a little bit different personality to Cena. We've not really seen Cena in this kind of role yet.
Yeah, he's usually the superhero.
Yeah, not the wounded warrior protecting his girlfriend.
Exactly.
And then the next match of the night was one that I actually thought was a lot better than I thought it was going to be coming in. Kofi Kingston versus Tensai. Tensai held his own. You know, I'm really warming up to him, and the sad part of it is I'm warming up to him as they push him further and further down the card.
You know, I think if they would have just debuted him like this, other than the whole...
Without Sakimoto, without the garb.
Just like this, just the way he is, I think he would have got over 10 times more than what he did there.
Well, I think they messed up by debuting him as a main event player. He should have debuted in the mid-card. You know, there's no shame.
Build him up.
Yeah, and build him up to the main event. I mean, look at Ryback. They built him to the main event, and now he's a believable main eventer.
Yeah, well, 3 in a row.
Now, the next match of the night, before we get into the match, there's something I wanted to mention. They had a poll as to see who would wrestle Kane later in the night.
AB Punk.
Or wrestle CM Punk, either Kane or Daniel Bryan. Kane won, however, I'm calling shenanigans. First thing, Daniel Bryan, the hashtag for him, WWE Bryan, was trending all night, where WWE Kane was not. And there was a website, the name slips my memory, but I read today where they actually counted the votes, and Bryan had 500 and something, as to Kane had, I think, 408. It was like 564 to 408, which, and the thing of it is, they used a 59% to 41%, which they've used that same percentile on a vote before, so I call shenanigans on it.
Oh, I do too, man, and Bryan is way more over than Kane. And don't get me wrong, I like Kane.
No, Kane's
I'm not shitting on him.
Kane's one of my all-time favorites.
Exactly. But the match people would want to see, I'm sorry, is going to be Bryan versus Punk.
No matter how many times they see it.
Exactly. It's one of those matches that people are hungry for, because you know what? You might not ever see it again. So you want to. It's kind of like Brett and Shawn. You always wanted to see that match. You've seen it, but when it went away, you know. People's hearts got broken.
Speaking of match I always wanted to see, and it involves Daniel Bryan. The next match was Daniel Bryan versus Rey Mysterio. And I thought the match was decent. Gary's shaking his head over here. Gary was not a fan of the ending of the match, which had Mysterio going over. I thought they carried the match well. I think they left enough on the table that if they do a pay-per-view match with these two, they could wrestle a better match. If you know what I'm saying.
I just think a lot of the match Mysterio was mailing it. Bryant right now is the hottest guy you got in the company. Maybe next to Punk. I think somewhat over Punk.
Probably trying to see it my way. Huh?
Well, I've always liked Bryant, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never really been down on Bryant. He should have gone over. You know.
Exactly.
He's the tag team champion. It's not nothing to do with the tag team division, but Mysterio's fading away. let him build another guy up. What's it going to hurt? A loss wouldn't have killed him.
Now, the next match is the one that I didn't like the ending on, Cena versus Ziggler. It's something that you mentioned during the match. I thought it was a good match. I thought Cena did well. I thought Ziggler did well. At one point, Ziggler hits a zigzag, and what would have hurt John Cena's character for him to lose to Ziggler with an injured Angle?
Exactly. You know, I'm tired of Super Cena, and fans are tired of Super Cena. That would have built up for the pay-per-view. Cena getting his revenge.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, it's just like, it's almost like they're like Eric Bischoff in it, worried about the show more than the pay-per-view, and that's just not Vince's style.
No, and that, talking about worried about the show instead of the pay-per-view, they gave a pay-per-view quality match away free on the show, the first meeting of Sheamus and Antonio Cesaro.
But the ending of it worked out right. I was very impressed with this match. I even told George about it because you watched it on the replay.
Yes. I had a prior engagement last night.
Philadelphia Eagles.
That's right.
I was so impressed with Cesaro's strength and the way he was just. I mean, it was a brawling match, and Sheamus went along with it 100%. And if you remember, we just did a show not too long ago with the top 10 overrated wrestlers, and Sheamus was in the best of the rest. If he keeps putting this up, he wouldn't even be in that by now.
No. I mean, Sheamus has definitely come into his all. I really like the improvements he's made this year. It kind of reminds me of Mark Henry about 4 or 5 years ago when they put Mark Henry in ECW, and he went from just a normal guy to being a solid main eventer.
Exactly. Cesaro's brawl strength is what impresses me the most. The gut wrench he did on Sheamus without even flinching or anything like that, it was awesome. And what was that other move he did?
The torture rack bomb?
Yeah, the torture rack bomb. And he didn't even strain to pick him up there. He just picks him right up and then drops it. The guy's a powerhouse, man.
Yeah. And I really like it. I like his build. I like his character. He's someone I'm a really big fan of. Speaking of that, let's talk about our question of the week from last week. Who do you think will have the biggest career or go on to be bigger, Antonio Cesaro or Wade Barrett? Now, before we get into our opinions, let's read off what some of our friends gave us. This first one's from our friend Never Meant to Fade. I could see Barrett being a world champion perhaps first. It was rumored going into last year's WrestleMania before his injury, possibly putting the title on him. Cesaro could also be a huge old school heel world champion if used correctly. Lots of potential and a great wrestler who could work his ass off. I prefer Cesaro over Barrett though. Next one's from our friend Joshua Adams, 1044. Wade Barrett is going to be a world champion first. I'd enjoy an angle between them. The next one's from our friend Paul over at the Deadly Sins. I don't think I could pick either for who I think will have the better future. Barrett's been around a while, and in my opinion, he's already done the most notable thing in his career, Nexus. Cesaro, while he hasn't been around long, I think they put a belt on him too fast, and that doesn't seem to end well. Some really good points made there from our friends. What do you think, Gary, out of Wade Barrett and Antonio Cesaro?
Antonio Cesaro, by far. And I like Barrett, don't get me wrong, but like I have to disagree with Paul because I mean Cesaro's been around a long time. He's just not been with the company.
Yeah.
You know, I mean the guy is a solid worker. He looks like he could work hurt because I remember a little while back he actually had some kind of injury to his hand or something like that.
He still has his fingers taped up from it.
And he still pulls off great quality matches. I mean, hence the match we just talked about. Barrett, he's just not the talker that Cesaro is. Both of them are great in-ring competitors. I'd give Cesaro a 10 in-ring compared to Barrett probably an 8 or a 7.
I'm going to put a caveat on it. I like them both a whole lot. I think they both got a ton of potential, and I could easily see either or both of them main eventing future WrestleManias. The thing that I see Antonio Cesaro, I could see Antonio Cesaro being put in that next Kane role, where he's kind of the main eventer, but he's also the measuring stick. You know what I mean? Kind of like Kane is. Kane, any new guys built through Kane, even
like the old Undertaker was.
Yeah, basically, and easily. I like Cesaro better. Not that I dislike Barrett. I like Barrett a lot. I like his move, the Warhammer. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Bullhammer. But I like both these guys. Cesaro just beats it out just barely for me, in my opinion. But that's our opinion. Now, the question of the week for this week, you've seen the three guys do an interview, The Shield. We have Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. Out of these three, who do you think's going to have the biggest future? Dean, Seth, or Roman? Let us know what you think. Hit us up on Twitter, put it on our Facebook, put it down where?
Down there.
Put it right down there in the comments. And like we did just now, we'll read off what you guys think next week, and we'll give you our opinion as well.
Next match we were going to talk about was Damian Sandow versus Zack Ryder.
I thought it was an oddly placed match.
I do too. I know they're going to put. They had to put Sandow on TV because on the main event he's wrestling Cena, and it's Cena's epic first time ever wrestling on main event. But they've only been on like 2 months. You know, I mean the first match was Sheamus versus Punk, champion versus champion. I still think that would be more of an epic match than John Cena debuting. Sandow, of course, shining star.
Yeah, he's another guy that we could put in this category. The future of the WWE is looking really, really bright with guys like Cesaro, Sandow, the three guys in the Shield, Daniel Bryan, and CM Punk. I mean, Alberto Del Rio, Dolph Ziggler. The guys that are coming up right now are as good as they've ever been in the WWE. Plus, we have some guys just about to come up in Cassius Ohno, Corey Graves. There are some guys that are about to come up. Big E Langston. I don't know if you've got a chance to see him. He's a huge bodybuilder. If you remember last year's build to WrestleMania when they showed Cena working with the guys in FCW, he was the power lifter.
Okay.
The one that did like 575 pounds. The dude's a monster. The only thing I don't see is he's got kind of a Ryback character, so I don't see them bringing him up right away. But back to the match. I really like Sandow. I thought it was oddly placed match. I knew Ryder wasn't going to win. Sandow deserves kind of being this quasi main event match, but this is more of a beginning of the show type match. They could easily put the Bryan versus Mysterio here, Cena versus Ziggler, Sheamus versus Cesaro. Any one of these three matches, I think, would have been a better secondary main event, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And we got the main event of the night.
Here.
It's CM Punk versus Kane, the winner of the fan survey.
Yeah, and here's the reason why I think it was fixed. Is because the Shield comes out. But, it was a clean win that Punk had. They just distract him from outside. Kind of a lackluster match. I've seen a lot better matches from these two. I think they were just doing it with time constraints and all. But the Shield did come back out, and it looks like they're going to jump Punk, and they end up jumping Kane.
Which brought out Daniel Bryan.
No!
And he got destroyed as well, which brought out Ryback, and
got destroyed as well. Oh, he beat up on him pretty good, and until Punk came back in.
And then they finally got the upper hand and took him out.
Roman Reigns hit that spear on him, which was a decent spear.
Roman Reigns, I tell you what, he's going to be a kid that's got a lot of potential. I think, and I hate to say this, at this point in his career, I think he has more potential than Rock had in the beginning of his career.
Oh, I mean, well, that was a shit.
I mean, he's not ever going to, I don't think he'll ever be as big as The Rock, but he can be. The kid's got all the potential in the world. He's a decent worker. He's got a decent build. He has a tremendous lineage.
Well, you talk about Rock, Stone Cold, and all that stuff like that. Back in the day, everybody's like, "Oh, there's never going to be another Rock or Stone Cold." Every generation comes a shining star. Cena was the space holder in between Rock, Austin. Cena was a space holder. Now we got Punk and Bryan. I think are going to be the two that we're going to be talking about for time to come. Would you agree?
Oh, I definitely agree. I think they're the two best wrestlers on the roster. Period. And not for nothing, I'm not going to say any names because I don't want to put anybody down or nothing. This isn't meant to put anybody down. But I have a real good friend of mine that I grew up with that I'm friends with on Facebook, which, that's what Facebook's for. He's watching Monday Night Raw, he's getting mad at what CM Punk's doing. And he's posting on his Facebook, stuff like CM Punk, they need to put in a stipulation if CM Punk cheats, he loses a belt. I don't understand why Paul Heyman's there. All he does is hold the belt and help CM Punk cheat. And I'm thinking to myself, this is a guy in his 30s. and you're getting him to, he's biting right into it. He's falling
Punk
right
does,
where,
man.
he's falling exactly where CM Punk wants him to do. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, this guy knows wrestling's fake. He has to know wrestling's fake, but he's pulled in, he's drawn in, and CM Punk is doing exactly what he's supposed to as a heel. He's getting the fans to react in that kind of way.
The guy's money, dude. That's the thing with him. Look at Bryant. Look at the way Bryant gets the crowd to chant yes.
Yeah. Or no.
Or no.
Or maybe.
That'll probably be the next shirt.
Or goat face.
Goat face. I don't know. The guy's well over, and these guys know how to work a crowd. That's why I'm so happy finally to be out of the dark ages with Cena.
And overall, I thought it was a good show, not a great show. They did a little bit too many recaps, for my opinion. They seemed to be a lot more than usual. But I thought it was a good show, not a great show. What do you think?
It was a decent show. I did like the interview segment with the Shield.
Yeah.
But what can I say?
But overall, that's all I got to say this week. My name's George Coles.
I'm Gary Rhodes.
And this has been Heel Heat, our WWE show.